Welcome guys back to another episode of Arsenal Transfer News Daily. We have got quite a lot of news including Aouar, as apparently Fabrizio Romano has spoken in an interview with Ligue saying Arsenal are in love with Aouar and going to definitely try and sign him this summer. Also, we are going to have a little look at his press conference he did. We did look at it yesterday in the preview to the Community Shield, but if you haven't watched that, first link in the description box down below. But let's get straight into it. First of all, Fabrizio Romano did say in an interview with Ligue that apparently Arsenal will 100% try and go after Aouar because the Arsenal board and Mikel Arteta are in love with him. Now, this is huge news because a lot of conflicting reports around whether Arsenal were actually in for Aouar, but Fabrizio Romano, obviously very knowledgeable person in terms of transfers, and he really knows what he's saying. And when he's saying, Arsenal are in love with Aouar, then he must not be lying. In this case, he must have some inside source suggesting that. And I think we will go after Aouar. I think trying to get Guendouzi on a deal, trying to add some other cash onto it. I think that's how Arsenal try and structure a deal. Now, there's a lot of other reports coming out that apparently Juventus have already agreed a deal to sign Aouar. Now, Fabrizio Romano did not confirm this, and I don't think this is the case because you look at Juventus, they're about to sign Weston McKennie, who plays in a similar position, sort of box to box. So will Juventus go after Aouar and Weston McKennie? Yes, Weston McKennie's only a loan for them, but it will be for an option to buy next summer. So I'm not sure if they will go after Aouar as well. Man City obviously is showing an interest, but if they are going to be going after the likes of Lionel Messi, they're not obviously going to be going after Aouar as well. So in theory, we could have a clear run at him, but obviously there are other clubs who could get interested and then nick a deal from us. So I think Arsenal will have to move quite quickly on this to see if Aouar actually wants to move to Arsenal, because that's the main thing here. If Aouar doesn't want the Arsenal move, then there's no point, because, again, if Arteta could try and explain his project to him and all that, but if a player really doesn't want to move to your club for whatever X, Y, and Z reason, then there's no point saying anything to him. And that's what Arteta has said himself. He doesn't need his project explaining more than once if you want a player to sign. A player should just listen to his projects, see what they think of it, and then sign for the club if they think it's a good project going forward. And I think that's what Arteta will be thinking. He'll talk to Aouar most definitely, and Edu uses links to their sporting director Junior, obviously Brazilian link there, and try and get a deal done for him. Will they want Guendouzi? Maybe. You never know. And I think Mikel Arteta actually said in his press conference about Guendouzi that he could give him a clean slate. I don't think that's true. I think he does really want to get rid of him, so he can try and fund a deal for the likes of Aouar and Thomas Partey, players that we have been linked with, and suggested that we may not pay the money for him. Even though I am staying calm on this, I think this will end up happening. I'm not sure about Aouar though. And I think Danny Ceballos also, Mikel Arteta said in the press conference about Ceballos that he wants to stay. We'll come on that in a bit. And with obviously Aouar, it's going to be a huge coup. He was so good for Lyon in the Champions League, and no wonder Arsenal are in love with the players. So that is the news, that Arsenal are in love with Aouar and will try and sign him. This will be such a dream signing for us. He's such a good player, and I've seen him in the Champions League, and he'll be a huge addition to our side. And I just hope Arsenal can somehow try and get a deal done for Aouar. Next bit of news is on Pierre, Emerick, Aubameyang. Now, we have said for quite a while, because we haven't talked about this too much, but he is so close to signing a new contract. Now, Mikel Arteta did speak in the press conference about, he was quizzed, obviously, about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's contract situation, and he said, I keep positive. We had some really good talks with him and his agent, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to find an agreement soon. That's my feeling again. And when he was asked on Aubameyang signing a new contract being a massive lift, he said absolutely, and for him as well, I think he should be very happy. He's able to stay at the club for a long time. I think people will be delighted with that news. Now, I think on one side he's saying that they haven't found an agreement, and then in that second bit he's saying that he's already signed. So I'm not sure what Arteta's trying to do here, if he's already signed the thing and it's just a case of an announcement, or if there are little details they are still finalising. It'll be very interesting to see what the case is and what the hold-up is, because we've been waiting for weeks, especially with Gabriel and Aubameyang. The deal's been done for so long, and I don't know what the hold-up is either. And we're just going to read what he said on Gabriel. and he said that, well, everything is okay when both parties sign. So he has suggested that both parties have agreed the deal, and the player agrees the terms. He goes through the medical. Sometimes that in the final stage it's not as easy as it looks, but we are pretty positive to try and do it. On the competition of Gabriel, we said again we will get it. When we get it, I'll be very pleased. He's a player that we followed and very determined that he was the right profile for us to improve our squad. If we're able to finalize it, we'll be delighted. Now he keeps repeating that if we are able to finalize it, apparently there have been reports coming out that Napoli actually made a last-ditch attempt to try and pry Gabriel out of North London. They're trying to get him to Napoli. They offered a bit more money. They offered 32 million euros instead of 30 million euros. And apparently it was too late. It was too little too late. That's what Gabriel's camp thought, and they went ahead with the deal. That's what Leo said as well, and they went ahead with the deal. And apparently he has signed for Arsenal, and I do expect an announcement today. Maybe announcement should be today, hopefully anyway. And Gabriel will sign, and it'll be very interesting to see how he does fit into the squad. And we have talked about so much before, so you can check out my previous videos about that. But going back to Aubameyang, for Aubameyang, I think it will be huge for him to sign. We will find out in the announcement video when he does sign. He's such an important part to our squad, and I really do hope he signs. You know, the sort of figures we're looking at is around 250 to 300,000 pounds a week, and it'll be a contract until 2023, a 3-year deal, which is the same we have given actually Willian. So it does look like a project we are building in the next 3 to 4 years. Now hopefully we try and challenge for big major titles, not just the FA Cup. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with Aubameyang when that gets signed. So that is the news that Mikel Arteta remains confident and very optimistic that Aubameyang will sign the Tink very soon. Next bit of news is on Dani Ceballos, and we will be going back to Mikel Arteta's press conference as he suggests that Dani Ceballos could be staying and he really wants to return to the club. Now, he was asked on Dani Ceballos and if we'd make a move to bring him back. He said, well, we have some talks. We have some talks, and Danny knows really well what I think about him. He was pretty clear with me as well that his intention was to remain with us, but obviously Real Madrid is involved, and I don't know yet what they want to do with the player, because he's a player that we are very interested in, because what we saw in the last few months of the season, he's very capable to bringing us. So again, Mikel Arteta is very clearly saying there that Dani Ceballos does want to return. Now, this comes after very conflicting reports, because I don't actually know what's going on here, because other reports coming out of Spain suggesting that Dani Ceballos wants to ditch a move to Arsenal to go to Real Betis. Now, if Arteta has had talks with Ceballos and he said, I want to come back to Arsenal, I don't know where those other reports are coming from that suggest he wants to go back to Real Betis. Obviously, Real Betis being a club that he was at before, you know, it's his boyhood club, so why not he be linked to them? But I don't know. I really don't know with this one, but I think Ceballos will end up coming back to us on a season-long loan, and that is the stance on it at the moment. And I think Arteta would do his best to try and bring him back. But obviously, if we do get someone like Aouar in, it will become more and more unlikely that we do go after Dani Ceballos again. Now, Ceballos really wants to play regular first-team football because of the Euros. He said the same thing last year because of this year's Euros, but obviously this year's Euros has gone to next year's Euros. So obviously, he wants to have at least 35 games this season. That's what Unai Emery promised him last year, and he got that, to be honest, and he did play that many games. And now Arteta is probably promising the same thing, because he is quite a pivotal part of the squad at the moment, and I think he was very good in the last few months, and I think Arteta would do quite a lot to try and bring him back, because he's such a good player and someone who could really help us going forward. And I think he's a player that, you know, he's quite young still, so I think he can develop even more, and I think hopefully he can become that strong player we have in that midfield that could be a world beater in a few years, because he is still very young. Dani Ceballos, around 23 years old, so it'll be very interesting to see what we do with Dani Ceballos. So that is the news that Mikel Arteta has said, and Dani Ceballos apparently that he wants to come back to Arsenal, and that Mikel Arteta wants him back at Arsenal. Last bit of news is on Thiago Alcantara. Now, apparently Arsenal have received a Thiago transfer boost as Bayern Munich chief makes Liverpool a confession. Arsenal have emerged as potential contenders for Liverpool transfer target Thiago Alcantara. Arsenal's hopes of landing Thiago have been boosted after Bayern Munich confirmed that there's been no contact from frontrunners Liverpool. The Spaniard is of interest to the Reds and Manchester City. However, French reports earlier this week claimed that Arsenal were also in the running. Well, there had been hard to believe given their reluctance to pay £45 million for Thomas Partey. French transfer expert Patrick Moreau claimed Mikel Arteta has even spoken with the player. We did actually speak about this a few days ago, and Thiago is set to leave Bayern Munich this summer after deciding not to sign a contract extension with the club. The Champions League winners do not want to lose their player of his quality on a free transfer next summer and therefore want to cash in. They've already reduced the initial asking price of 31 million to just 25 million because of the lack of interest. Liverpool appear most likely to make a move, but they seem hesitant to pay up, and Thiago can be available for a free transfer from January when they can complete a deal for the summer. Arsenal's faint hopes of landing Spanish international have been boosted after Bayern Chiefs Karl-Heinz Rummenigge confirmed that there have been no communication with the Reds. He said, "You've always read a lot about us with Liverpool, but they haven't contacted us yet. Yesterday we had the appointment with our employees and his whole family was there, and they just wandered around the square in great nostalgia at the Allianz Arena. I would almost say that looked like a goodbye, as if he had already made his mind up." Bayern boss Hansi Flick had joked that Thiago told him he'd decided to stay after the Champions League final in Lisbon. It appears that he'll still leave the club before the start of the season. Jurgen Klopp was pushed by Service TV for answers surrounding Liverpool's interest in Thiago. He said he couldn't help but burst into laughter before adding, "There are lots of interesting players out there, but if someone is interesting for us, I can't say right now. Due to COVID, you can think 5 times about what you can and what you can't do. We always have to pay attention to financial aspect. We don't know how much money will come in. Nobody knows but it seems like other teams will have more of a positive outlook on the future. If you take a look at Chelsea, for example, because, you know, they have so much money. But I'm very happy with my team right now. If you see something transfer related will happen, we'll have to see." So that is what Jurgen Klopp had to say about that. And Arsenal have shown an interest and apparently have contacted Bayern over Thiago's, future and how much he would cost. £25 million is still the price we're looking at. In my opinion, I think I'd rather go after someone like either Aouar, Danny Ceballos, or Thomas Partey, because I think Thiago is quite old now. He's 29 years old, approaching 30. He is still a world-class player, but I don't know. I'm still on my reservations about Thiago, whether he is the right man for us. I think that's the kind of profile Arsenal probably won't be going after. But again, if he is available and Liverpool don't make a move, then Arsenal could maybe reduce the price even more and more and more. And that's maybe what Arsenal are trying to do here. If they can't get him at a very cheap price, then I think Arsenal will try and do that. And I think he still is a world-class player. If he does come into our side, then he would be a very good addition to our squad and a great addition to the Premier League as well. But we'll have to see what happens with Thiago. I think the only thing we'll see if Liverpool actually make a contact or whether Bayern actually reduce their price tag. So that is the news, that apparently that Liverpool have made no contact with Thiago and that Arsenal are still in the running for the player. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Not lots of news today, but obviously Mikel Arteta's press conference did review a lot of things, and hopefully Aubameyang and Gabriel can be announced soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.